Entertainment and games come in a multitude of forms, as I'm sure you know. But this is one of the earliest forms of games in the world. The art of pinball games is one that spans across the globe and comes in many different variations, although most of them are cut from the same slanted mold. Its deceptively retro appearance draws the attention of many a fan, looking for the thrill and action of lights and sounds. Now you may be wondering, how did this nifty little gizmo get its start? Well, it's a bit more complex than you think. Luckily, you have me, Vincent Fetterman, and I'll be your guide to the history of pinball. There are multiple sources that claim to be the birthplace of pinball as a whole, depending on what exactly the definition of the machine is. But for simplicity's sake, we'll use the most likely origin that it officially got its start somewhere in 16th century Europe. At that time, long games like bocce ball, bowling, and ground billiards, later upgraded and called croquet, were popular among society. In the midst of this long game mania, some people had the genius idea that, hey, we should be able to play this game indoors. After all, who wanted to go throw a bocce ball in the rain? Nobody. It was depressing. So, eventually, versions of these games started to flourish in parlors, often being tabletop like modern billiards or on the floor like bowling and shuffleboarding. This is considered the ancestry of pinball, although nothing like the ones we have today was officially created. That all changed in the 18th century. During the reign of King Louis XIV in France, a tabletop game called bagatelle was introduced, mainly involving balls you'd hit with a cue stick around a number of wooden pegs. It was introduced to America later on during the Revolutionary War. The objective was to get the balls into the holes, taking a lot of its inspiration from billiards and bowling, and later inspiring pachinko. Of course, back then, electricity wasn't exactly ready for those machines yet, so there weren't any flippers or ball launching mechanisms, until British inventor Montague Redgrave decided to improve bagatelle in 1871. He completely reworked the design of the machines, shrinking them down, adding more of an incline, metal pins, bells, and the most important component, a spring-loaded plunger to launch the ball. This is considered the true great-grandfather of pinball. By the 1930s, pinball machines were developed in the United States to be coin-operated and used a lot of Redgrave's design qualities. The first licensed games, Wiffle and Baffleball, can be considered the first major introductions to pinball as a whole, although they still lacked flippers. After the developments of these two, other copycats and racketeers sought to make their own machines to be the most cats on the block, for lack of a better phrase. This was especially prevalent with the introduction of electricity to pinball, starting in 1933 with the game Contact, inciting everyone to start adding lights to their machines to draw in customers. It was also this era in time that gave the introduction of bumpers, obstacles for the ball to bounce against. By the time World War II rolled around, a lot of manufacturers donated pinball for the war effort, although they didn't exactly offer any tactical advantages, except maybe reflex development. The 40s also presented the challenge of legality, as some areas of the US deemed it illegal and a gambling threat. Most notably, Los Angeles, Chicago, and New York were a few areas where pinball was banned until the mid-1970s. The argument was that pinball had evolved into games of skill rather than games of chance, and thankfully the courts ruled in favor of that. Most of them anyway. Some towns and areas still struggled for a multitude of years, like Kokomo, Indiana, who lifted their pinball ban merely a decade ago at the time of this video coming out. Anyway, after the war in 1947, David Gottlieb finally introduced the power of the flippers to the pinball masses with his game Humpty Dumpty. It originally started with 3 sets of flippers facing outward in the middle, eventually shortened to just 2 flippers with triple action. In 1950, with the developments of Gottlieb's Just 21 and Spot Bowler, the flippers were turned inward, sporting their iconic looks we see today. The technology of pinball got an upgrade in the 1970s with the introduction of microprocessors and circuit boards. Although the industry felt like it was a skeptical route to take, they were developed in 1973 and 74 by Dave Nutting Associates and a company under Atari. Flicker, produced by Bally, is considered the first functional pinball machine with these microprocessors, although it may have sparked a bit of a legal battle throughout the late 70s. The digital display of numbers, like on a VCR or a microwave, was introduced with the boom of solid-state machines, which enabled better technological advancements in the late 70s and early 80s, although this was introduced at a very competitive time. The surge of video games and arcade boxes forced pinball manufacturing and developments to get more creative. New developments such as added music and speech, better display graphics, ramps for balls to travel along, multi-level machines, and multi-ball modes took the industry by storm. These elaborate changes helped a lot of manufacturers keep up with the competition of games like Donkey Kong, Pac-Man, Galaga, and so on. However, things started to die down in the 90s with a lot of pinball companies, even the titans of the industry, shutting down their businesses. By the time the 2000s rolled around, all that was left was a lot of small-time manufacturers. Despite the setback, however, there's been a slight resurgence of pinball glory in the 21st century. Some pinball machines nowadays include a full HD display, multicolored LED lights, and a lot of the traditional technologies like ramps, flippers, and bumpers. Although they may lack the charm of the older style, they still present themselves with pride and a retro flair, and have been a staple in arcades across the way. So the next time you see one of these machines in the wild, possibly at your local bar or arcade or some sort, and you wonder how different each one can be from another, yet so similar, hopefully you can appreciate the history and the glory of those that came before it. Well, that's all the time I have for today. Make sure to leave a like and a comment to let us know your thoughts, and don't forget to follow us on our socials. This has been Vincent Fetterman with Smart Cookies. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
This program was produced by ZTV at the University of Akron. Do you want to gain experience in video production, professional social media, or working with real clients? Visit the UA School of Communications online or follow us on social media to learn more. ZTV, make media, make a difference.